welcome to ReCall The Midwife. Today we are talking about Call The Midwife Christmas Special 2020. I'm Alex.
I'm Becky.
I'm Jen. Quick reminder that this week's episode deals with pregnancy loss, serious illness, and injury. So if those are topics you would prefer to skip this time, we understand and hope you join us for the next one.
It's Christmas in Poplar, and the residents of Nonata's house learn that Val has left Poplar following her grand's death and taken up a position at Hope Clinic in South Africa. The Buckles have opened a newsagents, but it doesn't stop Fred from selling Christmas turkeys on the side. The circus comes to Poplar, much to Reggie's excitement, and he's keen to see Snowy, a white polar bear, which is billed as the main attraction. We meet Jaquetta Percival, who is expecting her third child. When a fire breaks out at the circus, her family is forced to seek refuge at the Black Sail, and she gives birth to a baby boy. She suffers a heart attack immediately after the birth and is transferred to St Cuthbert's. Meanwhile, her father, the ringmaster, has his own health issues and has been hiding a cancer diagnosis, but he's able to help Phyllis fulfill a dream of performing on the trapeze. Trixie's godmother has signed her up to a marriage bureau in place of her usual Christmas gift, which is next year's dress allowance. Sister Monica Joan suffers a fall and is hospitalised with a broken leg. It's doubtful whether she'll be back at Nonata's house in time for Christmas. Lucille has a bad haircut, and Sheila crosses paths with Gloria Venables, who was on the same ward when Sheila was expecting Teddy. After suffering another 3 losses, she's made it to 38 weeks, and she turns to Sheila to help her when she gives birth to her 8th child, a much longed for baby girl. And Phyllis and Millicent find kinship in one another during the holiday season.
Whoa. Well, just before we get going and talk about that amazing episode, I just wanted to say really quickly, for everyone who listened to the podcast last week, we obviously had a lot of optimism about this American election. And it didn't go the way that we had hoped. And it didn't go the way that I had very, very, very much hoped. And it's been a really hard week, honestly, ever since Wednesday morning when I found out the news, and Tuesday night if you found out the news then. And just to say, there's a lot swirling around about it all, and a lot of really sad feelings. And for me personally, too, a lot of like anger and fear about what the future holds. And so in thinking about all of that, I just wanted to say to all of our, sweet, sweet listeners who may be in the same boat with me that I don't know what we're going to do about all of this. I don't know how we're going to go forward, but, Call the Midwife is always a source of comfort for us all. And so I just wanted to go back to a scene that has meant a lot to me. And I know I've talked about this many times on the podcast, and I know for all of you, it won't be any surprise, but it's the scene in series 6, episode 1. I actually looked it up where Cynthia is really, really struggling. And so I wrote down this time what she says, because I feel that this quote deserved to be, given in full. And I feel like the message is really for us right now. And so I hope that this brings you comfort. It's brought me a lot of comfort, and I'm going to be thinking about this a lot as we go forward. So Cynthia says, "What was it that Julian of Norwich wrote? Not the thing about all shall be well. Not that, because I can't believe that anymore." Sister Julian says, she wrote, "God did not say, thou shalt not be tempested, thou shalt not be travailed, thou shalt not be diseased." Sister Monica Joan then says, "Thou shalt not be overcome." And, we do have a lot of hard and sad times coming for us, but I hope that we all remember that we're not going to be overcome by this. We're going to fight through this, and we have each other and we have the show. And so I hope that brings some people some comfort.
That was very well said, Jen.
It was, and we are fully in support from England.
Yeah.
Yes, I know you are, and I deeply appreciate that.
Also from England, I am actually finally, after talking about it for so long, on the other side of my surgery. Now, I'm going to apologise for anything I say. My notes are mental. I'm a bit drunk up right now. I said unicorn instead of uniform. I think it might be quite eventful, but I am finally at home, at my parents' house, recovering from surgery. I'm not going to lie, I'm in pain. But it was loads better than I thought. So I just want to say thank you so much for all the lovely, lovely comments as well, and support from you guys. So thank you so much. And what an episode, guys, to bring us some comfort in a bit of time in need.
Oh, I cried a lot when I watched this episode for mainly because of the episode itself, but also for the obvious other reasons. But I'm very excited to talk about this. This is a really, really, really good Christmas episode, and I think I'm looking forward to like our usual amount of like chattiness and fun and brevity as we talk about this, even though I know we're all kind of in various different states at this point. So.
I will say I don't think I can lead. Because I don't know where will we go, but
well, Bex, this is your job. You always tell us where we're gonna go from topic to topic, right? So where do you think we should start?
Let's start with the newsagents.
Oh, Buckles!
I genuinely, because I watched it after my surgery, I thought I'd fast forwarded loads, and then I had to go back to the last Christmas special because I was like, the newsagents wasn't there last time, and then I realised it was them setting up the newsagents. So yeah. And also they said about the Beano and Dandy.
I was a member of the Beano fan club, and you were as well, Alex.
I was. And do you know what else really annoyed me? My mum went to the market and she bought a Beano bed set and a Dandy bed set. And neither of us wanted the Dandy bed set, but because my brother was older, he got the Beano one. And I was just so annoyed. It was a bit like, why can't you just buy two Beano bed spares? Like, why? Why?
So now you guys are gonna have to explain what Beano and Dandy are. I do not have a frame of reference for this at all.
Oh, they're mega. Have you ever heard of Dennis the Menace, but not your Dennis the Menace?
So I've
Dennis
heard
and
of Dennis the
Nasher.
Menace, but I've not heard of not my Dennis the Menace.
Well,
Your
it's
Dennis
the
the Menace is
original
different.
comic, isn't
No, they
it?
were both
like
out the
that.
same year. They came out the same year, Dennis the Menace, our Dennis the Menace, and American Dennis the Menace.
Oh, well, I don't know this either.
So Dennis the Menace and Nasher were from the Beano. So the Beano is a comic, a kids comic that had loads of different really funny cartoon strips, and they were like pretty naughty kids in each one. It was brilliant. Bash Street Kids, Ivy the Terrible, all this kind of stuff. It was
Oh,
fantastic.
well, I know this, but I don't know what the American version
Well,
is.
do you remember Dennis on it used to be on Channel 4? They called it Dennis over here because obviously we had our own Dennis the Menace, this little blonde American kid who was just a bit naughty. And he used to go, Mr. Wilson.
I know Dennis the Menace, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, well, weird fact, they were literally came out the same year. And I'm sure it was like the same day or something ridiculous that they premiered. So
Okay.
that was the American version. So it's nothing to do with the Beano. We just had a different. I'll put pictures of both Dennis the Menaces up on our social media.
Okay.
Yeah, but is that not based on the Beano?
No. They came out the same day in real life. They came out the same day.
But how is Dennis the Menace related to Beano and Dandy then? I don't.
Because Dennis the Menace was a big character in the Beano. It was like their main cartoon strip. But it was this black-haired kid who was just naughty from UK.
But then
Oh.
in American Dennis the Menace, how did they not get done for?
Because it came out exactly the same time, so no one could do fraud on it. I know I'm sounding like I'm mental from drugs, but I'm telling you now, I've looked this up before, and Dennis the Menace, they both came out at the same time, like the same year. There was no proof because obviously it wasn't like the internet or whatever. They'd copied them or whatever. There was no
So
proof.
it was
So
just
both
it was
went
just
ahead.
it was just luck that like two cartoonists thought of kind of like this rascally
Yeah.
kid cartoon at the same time.
Yeah.
Is this
So-
like when you told us who
Might be.
Barbara's granddad was?
Yeah, probably. Or have I dreamt this? Is this what I dreamt of in surgery?
So Beano and Dandy are a version of Dennis the Menace, basically. Okay.
Oh my
Okay,
God,
I'm with you.
listen, both characters first appeared on exactly the same day, 12th of March, 1951. Incredible as it may seem, it was all a complete coincidence and there is zero influence of one on the other. Thank you so much.
So
So when
two people sort of Dennis the Menace on the same day.
Yeah, they were totally different characters as well. Like one was blonde and then kept saying Mr. Wilson.
But so basically, when Reggie says, "Oh, I sold 3 Beanos," they mean like a cartoon, like a
Comic.
comic
Yeah.
book. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha. Well, I'll tell you what, I would love to look around that haberdashers. It just looks so fun and beautiful. I wanted to zoom in close-ups of like
Oh, the
all
news
the
agents.
cigarettes, yeah, like all of it. I was
Do you know
just
what?
like, this
News
is
agents
amazing.
aren't like that anymore because they can't. Well, now I don't know what it's like in other countries. Packets of cigarettes just have pictures of hideous cancers and tumors on them.
Yeah.
I don't think we do pictures. I think
We
just
have
words.
graphic pictures of people's like cancers and
tumors and stuff
mouth
like
and
that?
things to try
Yeah.
and put people off smoking.
Mhm.
And now you can't even advertise, like it's behind sliding doors.
Yeah.
Oh, well, cigarettes are always like behind a counter, that's for sure.
Well, they were
So-
behind the counter, but I worked in a newsagents and they were on the shelves, same style.
Mm.
But now you can't, if you go up to the till, you're not allowed to see everything. You can't be influenced.
Oh, so you have to like say, "Oh, I want
Yeah.
blah."
Yeah.
I watched
Yeah.
I watched a program the other day, Alma's Not Normal. I definitely recommend it. It's fantastic. And she was buying one and she was like, "Oh, I want the one with the kid looking scared of it this time." Like it was like, "Oh, I don't want that. I've got loads of them. Can I have the one of the kid looking scared?"
Oh man.
Anyway, it did look beautiful. And so Reggie, yeah, is in charge of comics. So that's the Beano and Dandy. I went on way too long about that, sorry. I think it's going
That's
to be one of
okay.
their episodes. It's an exciting time, isn't it?
Well, I like the fact that Violet is taking the lead in their business ventures.
Yes.
She's the boss.
Well, she's always going to be, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
And then as they're in the newsagents, the circus rolls into town.
Yeah.
Can I just
Festivals.
ask, it was called Buckles Newsagents, but to me it kind of came out of nowhere as a plot point though. Like, do we think Fred is really into it or not. I can't tell. I felt like he was very ambivalent this time because he
I
kept on
think it's
wanting
a
to leave all the time.
I just think it's a very useful tool for them to have a flat upstairs soon, be in everyone's business easily, without
Yeah.
everyone having to buy a
Yeah.
ribbon. Maybe they heard us go on about the ribbon
Well,
constantly.
and
Yeah, but
Fred
they
is,
set it up, didn't they? Because the Irish couple came over and then he died.
Yeah,
yeah, and
they
they
got it
did.
cheap.
I mean, the thing that makes me laugh is that like if I remember correctly, like this is going to begin the era of Fred like giving away so much free product and Violet being like, "No, you have to pay for that. No, you have to pay for that." And he's like always trying to give people free stuff all the time. And
Yeah.
she's just like, "No, they have an account. They have to pay." And he's like, "Do they though? I don't know. I just want to be nice." And she's like, "That's not how you run a business." Oh
I like how
gosh.
it's Buckles though, because obviously that's their married name as well, so it is hers as well. I like it.
Yeah, because the Haberdashers is called Violet G's, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it
Yeah.
just Jeeves? I don't know.
I'm not sure, but anyways, but yeah, so they're setting up and they see the advertisement for the circus, and Reggie is immediately so excited, which I
But I
get.
tell you what, and we're going to come on to Gloria, but she got a private shopping event at the Haberdashers,
Yes, she did.
and I was jealous of that.
I was
Well, also speaking of, did you notice how Violet was trying to upsell and Sheila was like, "Nope, you don't need that. Nope, you don't have to do that." And Violet was like, "Gosh, dang it!" Like you could tell
just
Violet
the
really wanted.
queen of practical. Right, I need to tell you a story really quick on here, really quick. Talking about Queen of Practical, just really quick. I will stop going on about my surgery, but I was just saying I've told you two this story, but about how there's no common sense and no practicality. My brother, as it turned out, my brother had to pick me up from surgery, which is a long story, and the car was parked like 200 meters away, and instead of like moving the car and coming in the car to get me. My brother, after I'd just had surgery, made me like hobble on crutches like 200 meters to go and get the car because I was so out of it. I just didn't even think to say, like, looking back now, I can't believe that he didn't move the car to come and get me. But
Oh
I was
When are you
just
God.
so
collect
out of it.
anyone from hospital, you're like, you wait here, I'll
Yeah,
come and get the car.
I know.
I just can't believe that there wasn't somebody with you to say like bring the car around or something. You know what I mean? Because like
Yeah, but you think
it
a 45-year-old man should know that.
I'm sorry, men could never. Like men could, you know what? You should break his leg and then make him walk 200 meters.
It was full circle though, because he was the one who took me to the A&E in the first place because my mum and dad were on holiday. My husband was at home with my daughter asleep at bed. So I literally was like, I had to ring him. And then he took me in the first place. So it was a nice, I say nice, I literally had to hobble across a car park.
Well, I'm glad he's
Oh my
got closure.
Full circle moment for Liam. Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, sorry.
Okay.
Percival's circus polar bear. The parade.
Yes.
So they put pictures up first, and Reggie's like, polar bear, straight away, polar bear.
He's like, I want to see that
And then they
immediately.
literally parade through the streets.
Oh, that was exciting. Do you think that they
I
used to
know.
do that in the olden days? They must have
Yeah,
done.
because they wouldn't have the same advertising, would they?
No. And that would have been such an event, wouldn't it? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how they pulled that off or like yeah, there were some logistical questions I had, but then I was like, don't think about it. You're ruining this
Yeah,
beautiful
but they would
moment.
have
It
done
was
it
so
because,
fun.
again, Heidi Thomas, they would have done it.
And poor
Yes.
Sister Francis, who's got an aversion to clowns.
Oh my God, she was looking away. It was so cute. It was
I have
Also,
so
to say
cute.
though, they weren't menacing clowns, were they?
Yeah, but I don't think they're really. It's not like Pennywise the clown is at every circus. Do you know what I mean? It's like they're not normally menacing. Also, did you see two worlds colliding? Peter Davidson there, who played
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who and the circus owner, because they were mentioning Doctor Who on the episode, and then
Oh
obviously,
yeah.
yeah,
When did he play Doctor Who though?
like 70s, 80s, 80s probably Peter Davidson.
Oh, okay. He was really good. I liked him. I had like no, I don't I
Do you know
I
who he is in
never
real life, Jen?
No.
You know who he's the father-in-law of in real life?
Oh no, I couldn't
Have you
guess.
fact checked this?
I 100% know this. I did know the
Who?
other one, thank you.
Who?
He is another Doctor Who's father-in-law in real life.
Oh, I
Oh, is
know,
it
David
David
Tennant.
Tennant?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Oh my gosh.
Did you notice, because we meet Jaquetta, so Reggie is dead excited about the polar bear, Snowy. So as soon as Violet's out of sight, Fred says to Reggie, right, we'll go down to the circus and see if we can sell some papers.
Which, to be fair, banging idea.
Yeah. But did you notice Jaquetta in her overalls straight off, Jen? I thought you'd be jealous of them.
I did like them. Also, the other thing too, though,
Did
is
we
I
also
thought
notice the reuse of the name Jaquetta?
that's
the
what
only
I was
time I've
literally
ever
just
heard
gonna
it.
say. That's what I was literally just gonna say. It stuck out because I'm like, this is not the first Jaquetta we've ever had on this
Wait,
show.
was the first Jaquetta the baby that little lad looked
No,
after?
she was Cora, but one of the little girls was Jaquetta.
Yeah, one of the other little girls who was like a really poor
Gary's
child.
sister. I mean, Gary and Jaquetta, they just don't go together.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that the original Jaquetta?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
I also
girl.
like the name of the dog, the professional dog, Armand. I thought, I really want a dog called Armand.
Oh my God,
When
he was so good.
Millicent objected to that dog being in the surgery, I was like, that is the best trained dog you're ever going to get anywhere.
It's still a dog.
No, I know, but I mean, in those times when you're traipsing through the street, I mean, a dog is not going to be any less hygienic than anyone else
Well,
traipsing
true.
in.
And it was better than that husband who came in dead drunk the other week.
Yeah. And what about, I mean, we don't know if she went to the surgery, but the woman who works in the Kipper house, like a dog.
Oh, yeah. No, kippers were way more disgusting than a dog. I would give birth next to a dog
Yeah, but
before I
she
give
wasn't
birth
bringing
next to kippers.
kippers in. She just stank of smoke.
Yeah, but just in terms of overall hygiene.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, I'm like, you can't have a dog in a medical office though. Like, I mean, that's
No,
just
but
like,
it's just in the reception area. I think that's perfectly acceptable.
Talk about dogs in pubs. Jen, is it a thing over there? Dogs in restaurants?
no.
It's
I mean,
massive over here at the moment. Bringing dogs
out
into pubs.
outdoor seating is different, but I mean, a dog inside of a restaurant is not a thing here. Well,
It's massive here.
I know I don't speak for all Americans. If it is where you live, then strike me down. But like, oh yeah, so my mom was piping up. Service dogs are a different story, but just
Oh
like
no,
a pet,
service dogs are allowed, but no, like just
like a
normal
pet,
dogs.
no,
Yeah, keeps
no.
happening, and it really annoys me because not that I'm against dogs. I love dogs, but the people who obviously have dogs they can't control keep bringing them in. We went to like this like place the other week, and it's like a cafe, but it's like all dog friendly, and it's like got this sign and stuff. But these people have brought this dog, and they just kept barking at other dogs and trying to start fights. And I thought your dog is not okay for this venue.
Yeah, that's why we don't take the dog anywhere.
Yeah,
Wait, but it
I
was
think that's
barking
your
at other
responsible owner
dogs
for
that
that
were.
though. So that's good. Well done. Because I feel like you shouldn't. I think dogs who you know will behave, totally fine, bring them. But dogs who won't, don't try.
Not that he's a bad dog, but he has zero training.
Wait, hold up though. You're talking about, okay, point one I have to make. You're talking about a dog who was at the cafe and he's barking at all the other dogs that are also at the cafe?
Yeah, and the others
Okay,
were
well,
fine. The others were really well behaved and good, so they're fine. Don't mind them
this
being.
is like an indoor sit
Yeah,
down
yeah,
restaurant.
yeah,
Where you like, do you order from a waitress or is it
yeah,
like, and there were multiple dogs inside?
yeah. They've started doing it in loads of places in the UK.
Oh,
Loads
There's
of
one.
pubs
why?
do it.
Why?
There's one on our high street. It's called Coffee Labrador.
Oh,
Coffee
I like
Lab.
that. Oh, I like that. I like that. Yeah, but that's
Okay.
actually like only supposed to be a dog cafe. This is everywhere.
Well,
Oh
we've
yeah,
heard,
this is
yeah, like we have like cat cafes and like different things, like we have places where like the point is have animals there. That's one thing. But just a regular
we've
old
been
restaurant
once
you're
and
talking
we
about.
won't go again.
Yeah. Yeah,
We
like
tried
literally.
it.
Remember that big posh pub I took you two both to last time?
Yeah.
And we'd
Yeah.
been before, Jen, and when it was like tiny little rooms.
Yeah.
That now is dog friendly. One side of it is dog friendly, but it's inside.
What's going on here? Why?
Yeah, that's what I'm
I
saying.
think
It's confusing to
it was
me. And
it was
What's happened
COVID.
to everyone?
Everyone's got really badly trained dogs now.
No, I'm not for this. I love dogs. Okay, I love
yeah,
dogs.
same.
But like I don't want a dog like in a place where I'm
Barking.
eating food like that. And
Well,
barking.
also-
Also, what happens if like your dog accidentally like jumps
Well,
up and
Bob's
like
was Bob's
like,
was scared to go
does
to the toilet.
something?
It kept jumping up at people. Bob's was scared to go to the toilet, and the
Oh
husband
my
was
God.
like,
That
"Your
owner
dog shouldn't
should
be
know
here."
better.
Well, my husband was
Yeah.
like, "Your dog shouldn't be here." Simple as. But why should my
Oh
husband
my
have to
God.
say
It's
something? Like, just don't bring your dog to places.
Yeah, it's like people who bring terrible children to restaurants. It's not the same at
Yeah.
all, but it is kind of like that in the like, don't you
But
know
if you
better
know
than
your toddler is going to be an absolute
I
pain
know.
in the ass, don't
I
bring him.
know. I agree. I totally agree. I mean,
And that's from
again,
a parent of a toddler who I didn't bring to restaurants for a little bit
Yeah.
because I thought I can't trust her not to scream.
No, I know. Whenever I see a little kid like just terrorizing like wait staff and like just ruining a whole plate, it's just like, oh, it's just a horrible. It's just
The ones I
horrible.
hate are the ones who run around and the parents let them.
Oh, I
Drives me
know.
absolutely mad. Anyway, sorry. How did we get onto this?
Dogs.
Armand.
The
Dogs. Oh, and
Yeah.
Armand being in the doctor's office. Yes. So she comes in. This is her third kid. Her dad is paranoid about her being pregnant because her mother, his wife, died when she was in labor with her.
And she was an aerialist
So-
working until 2 months ago. Like, how amazing
Yeah.
is that?
I
I know it's not
know,
real,
I
but
know.
still.
Yeah. So she goes in and turns out, everything's fine with her pregnancy, but then obviously once she starts to deliver, then that's when we have issues. But basically Reggie and Fred are at the circus. There's a huge explosion, two of the caravans blow up. So then most of the people have to decamp into the town to be able to like sleep there while da 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 da. And well, not most people actually. I guess it's just Jaquetta and her family, but they go stay at Val's family's pub. And so then
Well, hang
that's
on.
where she
Let's talk about the fact that when there was the explosion, Fred
yeah.
was looking for shouting Reggie. Oh my God. And he was so emotional. He was like, Reggie, Reggie. I
Yeah.
was already very drugged up and emotional. I was like, oh, I just burst into tears the second that he got a bit emotional.
Yeah.
Everybody just stood on the spot yelling
Well,
for their children. No
but
one
that's
actually sought them out.
no, not at all. Not at all. I mean, the thing is, Fred just literally was like, looked left, looked right, and was like, Reggie. And then he just was like, and then he just stood there and like didn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
And
but
then,
he had to get the camera panned into him, girls. This is how TV works.
well, and then
Do you know?
go ahead.
Okay. No, I'm just going to change the subject completely. You carry on.
Oh, well, just to say, like, yeah, so that they did have like two, like his like eyes were so watery and like a tear was rolling down. And then like out of the smoke of like the fire and everything, like Reggie comes out like holding the hands of the two little boys.
Oh, yes,
And he
Reggie,
was
though.
like
I
a
was so
complete
proud of him.
Oh yeah, no, he was a complete hero. And then do we remember what happened when they got home?
No, I don't remember.
He
So
gave him a beer.
Violet was
Oh, I
mad
didn't.
because like why were you there in the first place at all? Like you weren't supposed to be there and you were like da 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 da. And then she said something about she said something else and then Fred was like, "Well, I'm going to give you something you want, like, but I'm going to offer you either an ice cream or this." And he pulls out a bottle of pale ale and he's like, "This is because Reggie was a man, he deserves a man's drink out of respect," which is the through line that then comes back later on in the episode.
Yeah, loved it.
So Reggie was feeling really on top of the world, like really good about himself, even though obviously this happened. But then cut to Jaquetta, she's back at the inn and she's finally gone into labor.
Where is she?
She's at Val's family's pub.
Aunt Flo being all judgy about them being. And I thought, look at you being judgy after what you bloody been doing.
Yeah.
I know. Now you're worried about the mattress? Ma'am.
Yeah, I literally wrote that down. She's got a cheek being worried about that mattress.
Yeah, exactly. Her TripAdvisor is not going to be good.
I need to say, I love an episode of Who Do You Think You Are? And I was watching the Ollie Murs episode, and I don't know whether it was his grandmother, great grandmother, somebody. They were an aerialist in the circus.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ooh,
And then when
interesting.
she fell pregnant by a married man, and she was like working in the circus up until she gave birth.
Oh my God.
Ooh.
That could not be me. I mean, actually saying that, after now my knee's fixed, maybe it could be.
Do you know,
Watch this space, everyone.
I watched Phyllis on that, whatever you call that. It was essentially a swing. I was like, that's just a bar that she's sitting on. That's very difficult to just balance on that and not have like an actual seat. I know that that wasn't what she was actually sat on.
Well, it might have been. The person who plays Nurse Crane might have done months and months of training just for that scene.
What, to do it wire free?
Yeah, might have. I like the way that she loved the sequins. I loved it so much. I just loved it. How much there was so much joy this episode, which
There was.
bloody Christmas episode.
When she unzipped the
garment bag,
I wanted there to be a clown's outfit in there.
That'd have been amazing.
Oh God. Well, I want to talk about this a little more when we get to her working with the dad. But so they deliver Jaquetta's baby, and it seems fine, even though she's been really struggling. She's like, I'm so tired.
She has to have forceps, doesn't she?
Which was so they did call Dr. Turner. Yeah.
Phyllis says it's elective forceps, and I'm like, it's not elective.
Yeah.
Also, the other way, Jaquetta was like looking so dog tired. I thought, this isn't normal. And like, oh, doctor's just helping. And like her dad is having kittens downstairs, as you would expect, because obviously he's had this horrible situation with his wife and stuff. But also, she did look like absolute death.
She looked like you in that photo that you just showed.
Hey, do you know what's awful? My husband came to see me again today because I've been staying at my mum and dad's, and he came to see me again, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm not gonna lie, you don't look great, but you look a hell of a lot better than you did the other day." I was like,
You're like, I don't need to hear this.
I just thought the makeup on her, she looked absolutely bloody awful. And
she
then
did look really bad. Yeah.
Then just as they didn't really seem to think anything of it, they were just like, "Oh yeah, she's just a bit tired." And I thought, what?
I mean, even I could sense that she was going on a bit too much about how tired and how heavy her limbs felt and everything.
And then
She
she
was
had a
like, oh,
bloody
it's so much
heart
harder
attack.
this time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then the poor dad, I'm just like, oh my God, he
Yeah,
knew, he knew.
absolutely. Well,
I
and also like just terrible to think that you can give birth and then just have a heart. And they kept on being like, come back, like talk to us, your baby needs you. And she kept on like waking up from her heart attack and everything. And I was just like, I didn't know you could do that, but okay, you know.
I loved everybody that was in the pub just getting swept up in the fact that someone was giving birth upstairs, dead drunk.
Yeah, I like that. But
Well,
also, it's I think it's quite at that time, like in London pubs, they used to sing a lot, didn't they?
Yeah.
yeah. I love the guy who said something about like to Sister Hilda, you know, like, oh, like why don't we go out back and you can make a man out of me or something like that. And she was like, I think she's like, if you don't stop, I'll put you over my knee, which like weirdly he seemed to like that even more. And it was just this like really like weird, like it was like she wasn't like
Oh, she
flirting
was
with him,
caught
but
in that. She was
well,
Yeah,
caught in.
she's
yeah, I
got a
mean she
dark
did kind of yeah.
she's got a dark side, doesn't she?
She's a saucy one at times for sure.
So then Jaquetta goes
Um,
into hospital, and then bloody
yeah,
Mr. Kenley strikes again.
Mm.
Oh, that
yeah.
horrible consultant who's just dismissing Jaquetta because she's like, well, could that be what happened to my mum? And he's like, I don't really care what happened to your mum. Ciao.
Well,
Like, it
he
was just
says,
awful.
I wrote down what he wrote because it was so awful. It was like, oh, don't fret over ancient histories. And I was like, that's how her mum died. Like, he
Yeah.
was so dismissive. And I need
So
to sort of
different
say,
to now, though, because they ask you
yeah,
so many questions about, Also, just one more thing about pregnancy tests and stuff like that. One more thing about my surgery. So you have to do a pregnancy test up to the age of 61 in this country. And I was like
I
doing a joke
mean,
with the woman about, oh God, I hope it's, like if it's negative, you can tell me, but if it's positive, we'll go to the. And I was like, can you imagine how awful that would be finding out now? And the woman next to me was like, can you imagine how I'd feel? I'm 61. The fact that you have to test people up to 61 is insane.
oh my God. Well, that's one of those things where you just think like, has a truly 61-year-old woman ever had a baby?
Well, I don't know. Well, I
I mean,
think loads of people have
sure,
via IVF, surely.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's like some crazy reason why they're like, well, listen, just to be on the safe side, we're just gonna do it up to that
Yeah.
age or whatever. But like, just oh my goodness gracious, come on now.
Mm.
But oh, and the doctor was absolutely horrible, and we're gonna like absolutely like read him to filth like a ton more when it comes time to talk about Mrs. I can't remember her name, but like
Percival.
the
Oh,
yeah,
Elling or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's just such an absolute freaking like nightmare of a man,
Yeah.
basically.
Awful. Awful.
Yeah. I just want to like rake him over the coals 1,000 times. So,
Should we carry on with the circus talking about Jaquetta's dad?
yeah,
yes. So
Did
then
anyone
so
get his actual name?
no.
I've just put
no.
Jaquetta's dad or Doctor Who.
Well, yeah, he just yeah, I don't know. But then and this is where I was kind of like, ooh,
We should
Phyllis,
know
maybe.
his name.
Well, wait,
I
here,
think
let
our
me
listeners know us well enough now to know that we've not done
Well,
that research.
I'm going to say you two. This was not on me this week. I'm
wait,
not on
wait,
it.
here, hold on a second.
I am the
I'll find
only
out his
person
name.
who's been to work today.
What is that supposed to mean?
It means you two have let us down.
Okay. Mr. Kenley?
No,
Could that
that's
be
the
it?
No,
Oh,
that's the
Ellings.
doctor.
Elling. Oh, Kelvin Ellings.
No,
Wait, is
No,
it's
that
Percival. It's
no.
Percival's the dad.
no, Percival's the surname.
No,
Oh,
Mr. And
no.
that's what I'm saying, Mr. Percival. Just as Mr. Percival.
Mr. Percival. That's what it says in IMDb too.
Yeah.
Well,
That's his character's
none of us
name.
missed it. Well, we're on fire,
Yeah,
On
absolutely.
This is
like the
us
circus.
on fire.
This is us at our very best, right? This is us like on level 10, okay? Okay,
This
but wait,
is like when we did our first podcast, and that person commented that I don't want to listen to somebody googling something.
and we're like, well, then don't listen at all. Because we're gonna Google forever. It's never gonna end. But here's the thing. So even though just like Sister Hilda was like being like so cheeky and everything to the pub guys or whatever, I didn't think of it right at the first moment, but then I was like, because okay. Then when Sister Hilda says to Phyllis, do you want to come to the hospital with us? And she's like, no, I'm good. I don't have to go. I'm gonna check on, our quote, our other patient, or however she says it. And so then she looks over to the dad, and I was like, okay. So then they go back to the circus, like tent, like his like caravan thing together. But now, remember when they were doing the parade at the beginning, and she peeped the circus master,
Yeah.
and she had like a look in her eye for him. And I
I
was
thought
like,
that.
oh, okay. So then they go back, and like nothing happens, like there's nothing romantic or whatever, but they do have something simmering on the, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
Yeah.
there's some sizzle, okay? Like there is
I
some
wrote
true chemistry.
electric.
Yes, they had some vibes,
He's like,
okay?
I'd love the life with high wire. And he was like, oh, would you? I could give you that high wire now. Like, it was just really.
Well, and then right at the end, when she was getting ready to get in the car, and she was like, oh, she's like, in my mind, I'm a beautiful trapeze artist, like 35 years younger, like so gorgeous, like flying through the air and everything. And he's like, well, in my mind, I'm Charlton Heston, you know, like da 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 da, like da da da. And they both just had this kind of like zippy zappy like look to each other.
Freestyle. It was freestyle.
It absolutely was. And then, so Jaquetta gets better and like, you know, she's okay. And then they,
And then
you
she
know,
finds out about her dad's cancer because no one's actually told her at this point.
yeah, and poor thing, like he's like really suffering and he's like trying to hide it all and he's doing a good job but not a great job because he's like really, you know, he's really struggling and everything.
Well, and he's a man.
Yeah, obviously. And so then he says to her, like, well, listen, like, you know, he's like, I tried to do this. I gave you, you know, like, I made you do all this when what you really wanted was a bay window and a privet hedge. And she was like, well, no. She's like, anybody could have that. This is what I love. Like, now she's like, my career's ended, but the boys are going to go ahead and do da 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 da. And I was
She
like,
said, you
okay.
gave me a cathedral made of canvas and stardust.
Yeah,
I
that
also
Oh,
was
wrote
really
that
nice.
window because I'm obviously off my head. But, oh, but the scene, can we
Yeah.
just talk about the joyous scene of Nurse Crane in sequence that he arranged?
Well,
And I'm
wait, hold
sure
on.
I'd like to
Hold
think
on, hold on.
afterwards.
No,
Go on.
because this is the thing. So then they have that moment and everything, and then she drives away and she's like, well, okay, whatever. Well, then she gets a message, like, they want you at the circus. And she's thinking, like, well, what's wrong? Is he okay? Is he sick or whatever? And they're like, well, they just said they need you there, like, ASAP, basically. And so she
wait,
goes.
before we talk about this glorious moment, because I think I'm gonna like ruin the build-up that you're creating. Nurse Crane has earlier said to him, why doesn't he stop smoking? And that would
Yes.
help him. And he says, well, we're sponsored by a cigarette company. We all smoke. I
I
tell
make
them to
everyone.
smoke. But then it's when he says, not that the clowns need much persuading. I was like, what about the clowns makes them like really
What a weird, like, dig on
chain
clowns.
smokers?
Yeah, exactly.
That's why Sister
Exactly.
Francis knew.
It's hilarious. But anyways, so she goes to the circus and is kind of like, well, what am I going to find here and everything? And she turns up and she's got her, you know, nurse's uniform on and whatever. And they're like, "Milady, we'll take you to the back." You know what I mean? Like we're here to make your dreams come true and everything. And the circus is not, there's no one there, but everybody's in costume and like it's the whole thing. And so they take her to the back and she unzips the garment bag, like you said, Bex. And this really, I loved it because it was a really beautiful costume, but you could tell it also had a lot of like wear and tear. It was one of those, it was just like they just did it so right with that. And so she puts this costume on and basically it's like this very, you know, like showgirl type thing, but it's got some like a skirt and whatever. It's not like
Yes, it's
really
quite
immodest. Like,
demure
yeah, like
considering what
her,
it is.
yeah, like her butt and her upper legs are covered, like her
Cutesy.
arms are covered and everything.
Mindful.
It was
Yeah.
racy, but it was very, you know, like it fit for her age. And so then he's like, "Well, come over here." He's like, "I'm gonna make your dream of flying, you know, come true. Like you'll always know what it's like to be, you know, flying in the air." Which was so like, oh my gosh. And so then she gets on the swing and he lifts her up and then she's swinging back and forth and she just looks so happy. And it was really so beautiful. And he was just looking at her with like stars in his eyes and you could tell this was like his also like he really does love to make dreams come true and this was
Yeah.
like a real thing that he could do as well, like to make himself just feel so good. So like it was a real like mutual love fest of
But also,
just everything all put together.
I remember watching this live on Christmas Day as well, because this is when I'd started watching the episodes live. And I
Mhm.
remember watching this on Christmas Day and just being so, just loving it. It was just
Well, this is
amazing.
Christmas 2020. Christmas
Yeah.
2020, you guys.
And it was just the joy we needed.
Yeah.
And also, I thought it was very much on a par with, I know I'm not a fan of Barbara's Wedding, but it had carousel vibes.
It did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like fantasy, like, yeah.
Now, before we move on from this, can I just mention the fact that Mr. Percival was pushing for a circus christening for the new baby, and it made it seem as if Jaquetta had been like resisting this, and then when she finds out how sick her dad is, she kind of says, "I want to give you this circus christening that you've always longed for." It was literally a christening in a circus. There was nothing. I thought like someone was going to like fly through
Put
the
their
air
head
with
into a
baby.
lion.
Yeah, it made it seem like it was this dangerous, over the top christening. It was literally just a christening in the tent.
Yeah, but wait.
Cyril was there to officiate.
Yeah, he's become like the de facto like pastor of
Pastor.
everyone now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love to see it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right, now should we move on to, because all our other storylines are really Nonatans. Should we talk about Gloria and then we can
Gloria
Mm.
Venables.
You
Oh, oh,
guys, I
oh.
was crying from word one on this one.
When I remember watching this in real life when I first watched it, and I remember screaming, "Yes, that's her!" I remember saying to my mum because it was Christmas Day and we're watching it, and I'm like, "That's her! That's the one who lost a baby!" And my mum was like, "Which what?" Like, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
even though she was more of a
Mm-hmm.
Call The Midwife fan than me at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was just so overjoyed. I can't speak, but it was just so exciting when she was like, "Oh," and then she was like, "Oh, how are you?" And she was with Teddy as well. And she was like, "Oh, I've
Yeah.
lost 4 babies in that time." And then she was like, "But I'm 38 weeks now." And I was like, "Yes." Oh,
Oh my gosh, you guys, I was crying in the doctor's the first scene where Sheila's walking out with Teddy and then Gloria says like, "Oh, wait, Sheila, do you remember me?" And then she
yeah.
says, like I was already going. I was already going. That was just such a beautiful
So glad they
the
revisited it. Again,
whole
2020, what a year to
Yeah.
revisit that as well.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Now, she'd had 7 babies in total, so this was her 8th baby, wasn't it?
Yes, but in
I
that
think
time
so.
since Teddy, it had been 4 pregnancies.
Which
Well, no, but didn't she lost that baby and
Another
3 more?
2. Yeah.
No, another 3.
No, because this was a third, wasn't it? This was the third after the other one she'd lost. So that's
Yeah,
4.
she said I lost that one plus two more, and then I finally got the
Uh,
stitch that I needed on this one.
Yeah,
and
the
what's
cerclage.
Mr. Kenley been doing in that time? We knew
Oh,
she used it the 3 times
I
before.
mean, we may as well call this the Mr. Kenley hate podcast. I hate him so much.
he's the worst doctor. The worst.
Go home
The
and
the
think
fact that
beautiful
they
thoughts. I put F
the
off
fact that
Kenley.
oh my God, the fact that they let that poor woman go through what she had to go through and then to just be so condescending about it. And by the way, listeners, I wanted to say so and then insert an expletive condescending about it because I mean he was so obnoxiously just like, "Oh,
And I get that the level of care is supposed to be amazing because he's this fantastic consultant, apparently. But she hadn't seen the same midwife twice. And, I think they're trying to say about the hospital stuff and that kind of stuff as well. But like these things matter because obviously she's so nervous and as you would be. And
mm,
she's finally got to 38 weeks, which should be joyous, but she can't be joyous because she's so nervous and so holding on to all this. And to the fact that she's not had that continuity of care because he's not given any care is
No,
awful.
and she says to him that like she's anxious because of everything that she's been through. And there's one point where he says about all the losses that she suffered, and he says to her, "Better not to think of them as babies." And I just thought that is just so
so
harsh.
insensitive, so insensitive,
But then
so
she walks into
insensitive."
the maternity home.
Yeah. She's like,
Oh,
"Screw this, I'm going to the people who know how to take care of people like me." And then she
oh,
goes,
I loved it so
yeah,
much. I cheered.
yeah, they took
And what has
such
her
good care of
husband
her.
been in? I recognised him, but do I just recognise him from the first time he was in it?
Maybe. Wait, hold on a
I
second.
don't know, but I watched Slow Horses the other day because I've been here with my dad watching Slow Horses, and Bernie Mullocks is in that.
Wait, he's Mr. Venables, right?
Yeah,
Okay, hold up.
Tony
He,
Venables.
yeah, he was in The Crown. He was Porchy in The Crown, remember?
That's right.
that's
That's why
why.
I know him.
Yeah. And then he's in Belgravia, and then he's been in like other like period
It'll be The
things.
Crown. Have you watched The Crown yet,
It,
Bex?
oh,
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Maybe at Christmas.
you said that last
I'll get to it, and then I'll be like, "Oh my God, I loved it."
Why didn't I watch it then? Why was I holding joy from myself? Anyway,
Oh, wait a minute. Quick side note. So I was searching for something to watch like this past weekend. And obviously everyone knows the headspace I'm in. And so for whatever reason I turned on Netflix, they have the movie version. They have The Equalizer, the third in the series of the
yeah,
Equalizer movies with Denzel Washington.
Denzel Washington, yeah.
And we started
Banging
watching it.
films.
Yeah, and we started watching it. And I have to admit, the third one, like, I just wasn't getting into it. I think because I wasn't paying good enough attention, because a lot of it is actually in Italian, because it's set in Italy, and a lot of it is subtitled. So, anyways, I wasn't resonating with it. But I was like, well, hold up. So then I remembered that there's a TV version of The Equalizer with Queen Latifah, and that's on Paramount. And so I started watching that, and she I've now watched like 8 episodes in like 2 days or something like that. It's so good. Like for anyone, for especially any women who really want to like, you know that phrase, like I'm kicking ass and taking names. Like that is her motto in this, and just highly recommend. Also, it's like there's like so many episodes, so you can like really get lost in it if you want to. But just and then there's like a cute like I don't know. I'm not going to say any more about it. Just if that sounds in any way appealing, highly recommend.
I might take that on. I watched a weird thing called the Single Moms Club at like 2 a.m. this morning, just because I'm having really weird sleep pattern. It was just weird, and I don't even know what to think about it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, so she's finally back with the Nonatins. She's getting good care, but she's just like really, really afraid. And she has this like really big mental block about giving birth, which everyone kind of is sympathetic to, but doesn't really understand how to deal with. And I think, and Sheila, who's really like primarily the one who's caring for her because of their history together, I think feels a little bit like, okay, I get it, but I also don't get it because
well, also not
Sheila
just mentally, physically, she's not prepared with the stuff because she didn't then get stuff ready. She's like, well, I wasn't prepared because
she doesn't want to jinx it, does she?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that honestly made so much sense to me. Like even before she said it, I was like, okay, I totally get why you wouldn't want to prepare for this. Like just knowing how much loss you've gone through and how painful it's been.
At the same time, she's got the 38 weeks. You got to get bloody prepared, though, love.
Well, I agree, but the thing is, I'm sure. Well, this was my feeling that she probably looks at it like a jinx. You know what I mean? Like the minute she actually relaxes enough to think that it's going to happen,
it's not like she's got Amazon now.
Yeah,
no, I get it. But girls,
weeks,
like
she needed to get her stuff together.
No, I get it, but like think about it where her headspace is coming from. She's literally had 8 lost pregnancies. Like it's like even like the one that she had when Sheila and her, like she really thought that one was going to get carried to term. Like at a certain point, it's not about what's practical. It's about the fact that you just can't do it. Like it's the mental block. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
like,
once she hit 8 months, you've got to think I should perhaps get at least a baby grow.
No, but it's not rational. That's the whole thing. Yeah. It's not about rational thought.
Well,
it's about,
she had Sheila, Nurse Turner, there to sort out the shopping.
She did.
Yeah, and she had a private shopping event.
Oh, which I loved. I loved it.
And I mean, yeah, she needed to process all of those losses, but that wasn't what was stopping her giving birth. That baby would have come, processed or not.
Well, yeah.
Facts.
Do you know what it put me in mind of?
I knew you were going to say this.
That time that Sheila made Dr. Turner talk about it, and he really didn't want to talk about it.
The one we had a big fallout.
And I know
we like fought for like 45 minutes on the show.
But I was just like, you don't want to talk about it, Sheila.
You're like a therapist's worst nightmare.
Yes. I was gonna say when you said you're like a therapist, I was like the worst therapist on earth. Like people would go to see you. People would go to see you and you'd be like, okay, do you want to talk about it? And they're like, I don't know, it's really painful. Okay, never mind. Don't talk about it.
We'll just have awkward small talk for the next 45 minutes.
Yeah, tell me about your shopping. Tell me about your, like, da-da-da. And you're just like, oh, do you feel better? No, not really. Well, anyways, you didn't want to talk about it, so we're not going to.
So the whole point is, Mr. Kenley had said, put it out your mind. And she was just like, I can't put it out of my mind. But she hadn't verbalized she couldn't put it out of her mind. But here's the thing is basically Sheila's trying to tease it out of her.
But here's the thing, and you're exactly right, but it's not even just Dr. Kenley. Dr. Kenley sucks, okay? But she says to Sheila, when she's like pacing around the maternity home, like she's like, look, she's like, everybody told me just don't think about it. She's like, my friends, my family, like they all just said, just don't think about it, put it out of your mind. And so I never had a space to share anything because everybody told me that I just shouldn't worry about it, that it should just be like it never happened. And like when not just like your horrible doctor or whatever is telling you that, but like literally everybody in your life is telling you that. Just don't think about it. Just don't think about it. Like it is so invalidating, you know? And she says like, and I mean, now listen, however you feel about this, whatever, but in her mind, these were her children. She had these imaginary storylines about who these children were that took them all the way through developmental stages and everything. Like she even says about the oldest one, I can't remember what his name was, but it was like Peter.
But it's also their names, like the fact that they are named
She
Yeah.
named them like Peter, David, John, Rachel, Rebecca. Like she named them all. She knew their genders. And like you got to think for a lot of these pregnancies, she probably never even knew that. Like in her
Yeah.
Yeah, she
mind,
would.
she's assigned this whole narrative about these kids. She's like, oh, this child is like he's always getting scrapes because he's like out and about and everything. And then this other kid is like really quiet. He just loves to read. And then my one daughter, she has like long brown hair. I mean, she was totally invested in these
Yeah.
imaginary children.
Well, she was their mom.
And like well, and then when she's finally, yes, exactly. And then when Sheila says to her, she's like, I don't think I have enough room to hold any more in here because I've already got all this going on. And Sheila says, well, that's what you have to do. Like, that's what being a mother is. You have to let go so that you can have more love in your heart for the new things that are coming,
And it was gorgeous scene. It was gorgeous
It was
acting. The way she was,
beautiful.
it was absolutely
Beautiful.
gorgeous. And like, it was
I
just
will give.
took so much out of her physically. And then Sheila's like, thank you for saying their names. Now you should probably push. You're like, what? But after all that energy that you've expended.
Yeah. Well, it was just
It
the
was a
timing
beautiful
of the whole
scene.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really gorgeous. Yeah, it was really gorgeous.
And she has Rachel Rose.
Which I thought was a modern name
Yes.
at the time.
I thought I was going to say it's the start of the modern names, but it's not really.
Yeah.
Well, this is 1969.
Yeah. And the baby was
Yeah.
so gorgeous. And she's like, I'm a mother, Sheila. And she's like, you've been a mother for a long, long time. And I was
Oh,
like,
that line really, 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 oh my God, that line like just sent me.
And did you notice Sheila kissed the baby?
Yes.
Which I
I
would have
did.
also not been able to resist. But nowadays, people have rules against
I
that.
saw a TikTok
Oh.
today. Someone put in cling film on their mouth to kiss a baby, but they did nothing about their nose. I was like, if you're doing to that trouble, put it on the end of your nose as well.
Oh my God, people just go too hard. But you know what? And this is the thing. Like, remember Sheila's story? She was a stepmother to Tim before she
I do
ever.
remember Sheila's story, Jen.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, like, she was a mother before she was a like mother, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so for her, but there's lots of ways to be a mom, right? But like some people feel like, oh, I'm not a real mother, or like I'm
Yeah.
not a blonde, you know what I mean? Or you don't want to give yourself that title because you don't feel like it's fair or it's right or it's a whatever. Or like
Yeah.
imagine all
Or
the
because
women who
people are
like
saying, put out your mind.
yeah, or imagine like women who like have to give up their babies for adoption and then they're like, well, I'm not a mom. Well, it's like, yeah, you are. Like
Yeah.
I just think like not like you should just give yourself any title you want, whatever. Like not quite saying that, but I'm just saying like for Sheila, like she knows what it's like to live in that space where you like that liminal space of like motherhood and quote non-motherhood where you kind of have to blaze your own trail and you have to like do, like find your own way and not be, so I don't know. It was just to me, it was just such a beautiful like full circle type of a moment and I love that. I loved it.
I'm just so glad she got Rachel Rose. And
Yeah.
the dad
I
was
know. And
dead
the dad
chuffed,
was
and it was
so
gorgeous.
sweet.
Yeah, it was
The dad
lovely.
was so sweet. And when Dr. Turner and him were playing that game of like shoots and ladders, or I don't know what the game was, whatever it was, like
Was it Snakes and Ladders?
That's me. I'm off my head, guys.
it was
But going back
nice.
to the start, this is completely unconnected with Gloria Venables. Well, it's not unconnected with Gloria Venables because at the start, someone has just given birth in the maternity home and
You mean the
suffered.
literal bloodbath?
Yeah,
Oh, that
they've
was
suffered
horrible.
a really bad hemorrhage.
Oh, that was horrible.
So the flying squad have had to come in, whisk that person away to hospital, but they forget the person's nose. And that's what leads Sheila to the hospital where she bumps into Gloria.
Yeah.
But my point of talking about this is how quickly Dr. Turner's focus turned from hemorrhage to the cake tin.
I literally put, he couldn't give an F about the blood in that moment. He heard cake tin, his ears pricked, and off he went.
Oh
And
my
we're
God.
entering mince pie season now, and I couldn't be happier. I think I'm going to make my own mincemeat.
Oh, really?
You are?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Let's
Okay.
you go on. Both of you are good contenders for Bake Off, and I'm really annoyed that neither of you go
No,
down.
we've spoken about how I couldn't handle the pressure.
Yeah,
but I think
look,
I'm gonna
Nadia, hello.
I'm going to put pistachio nuts in it.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, I like
Oh.
pistachio nut. I'm going to freestyle it.
I like an orange rind thing in it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I'm going to stick to the fundamentals, but I'm going to mix it up a bit.
Yeah, I like it.
I'll tell you what I want to make from scratch this year is, as if I've not made it any other way, but like when I made to make it, because I've seen some recipes for it, is sticky toffee pudding.
Oh, yeah. Well, I could send you my mum's recipe if you want.
Oh, I would love that.
My Bob's made me some flapjacks with my mum, and they are so delicious, but she didn't want any fruit in it just because she was being fussy. But actually, they're like full of nuts. And they are delicious, these nutty flapjacks. They are gorgeous. She's put pistachios
Oh.
and pecans in them. They are delish.
Oh, I'll tell you what, holiday baking.
Yeah. I will just say
And
it's not my
cinnamon.
mum's recipe. It's Delia Smith's recipe.
Oh, that's my mum's recipes. Delia Smith, that's the only recipe she
You
uses
can't
pretty
go
much.
wrong with Delia Smith.
No, you can't.
You can't. You can't. No,
Right,
no.
should we talk about Trixie?
Yes.
Yes.
So
Oh wait,
Trixie's
can we just have a quick moment for Lucille hating her haircut? And I just thought that was hilarious.
Oh, it was
Like
hiding.
she basically just got like a football helmet haircut, which
Well,
was
do you
actually,
remember
if we
when our
talk, oh, go on.
do you remember when our friend got a haircut at university?
Written this airbags. She came in
I thought she'd been
screaming,
attacked,
crying.
screaming. I
Yeah,
thought she'd
I
been
was at the
attacked
top of
on the street.
I was sat on the stairs for some reason at the top of the stairs. I was always doing something weird. And she came in the house, the most dramatic thing I've ever seen. And her hair was naturally curly, isn't it? And she came in the house and she was dramatically sobbing like the worst thing. She still had long hair. She was like, it's the worst haircut I've ever had. And just screaming, crying. And I was like, calm down. Do you
Oh my God, I don't remember who this is.
want me to
I
bleep it
saw it.
out? It was
Oh, okay, then I do remember. Sorry, I do. Now that okay, yeah, that's who I thought, but I was like, is that right? I didn't know if it was somebody else. Oh,
but also,
yes.
if we're talking about the Lucille thing, let's just really do this then quick.
Yeah.
Valerie,
Oh my God.
Oh man.
this was a
Yes,
zero
again.
for
man.
me.
Also, Valerie didn't go to South Africa first time round, did she?
No, no. She
So
wasn't even on the show at that point. Yeah.
why is somebody who's just suffered a loss, who's born and bred in Poplar, suddenly going to go to South Africa?
But yet they never mentioned it again, despite the fact that they were part of that still in South Africa for years and never. That's why I think she's going to have a baby there. My thing works
Yeah,
from the
I
one of
think
the
it
rest of
does.
the
I think
episodes.
it does.
Well,
I'm
it's just another Jane situation.
But at least Lucille was devastated. I like the way they showed that, and she was really annoyed with her and devastated about it. And
yes.
Cyril was really wise because he was like, "Oh, she was afraid of causing pain," but he also didn't notice her new hair. What did you think to that, Jen?
Honestly, it was the most like quote typical man thing I think he's done ever. When she was like, and she didn't even get to say she liked my new haircut, and he's like, wait, what haircut? And she's like, like it was like such a guy thing, and I couldn't tell. I will say there, I had a split second where I couldn't tell if he was just saying it to be like. Like he did notice and he was saying it as like a thing, or if he genuinely was like, I don't notice. But the thing is, Lucille wears her hair up a lot.
Yeah.
And so I did think it was like very like guy.
But still, it was dramatically different.
It was.
But nobody noticed
yeah.
that all of Val's stuff had disappeared from her bedroom.
Well, she had gone that day, and they
Still.
are busy. They are busy.
No,
I'll give them that. If there's
excuse
one
for
thing
this.
they are in Poplar, it's bloody
They are
busy.
busy. Yeah, absolutely. They are busy.
Now, can I just do a massive, massive shout out to Becky because Rebecca has for once sent and pre-prepared screen grabs
Of what?
of the Trixie's dates.
Oh, yes, you have. You have.
And
yes.
this is the first time this has happened, guys, because she still owes us for the thing that she still says she's going to send. But she
Yeah,
hasn't.
Actually, I want to go back
to the series. I'll tell you what, we'll do that for the series recap. It'll round it off nicely. Full
Will she
circle.
though, guys? Will she?
No, she won't. The thing is, I want to talk about the guys that Trixie went on a date with because I have actually some really good opinions about these men. So let's talk about Trixie's predicament.
Yeah.
So she's excited because it's Christmas. She's screams when the post arrives because she's waiting for her godmother's gift. Her godmother.
But you would be. You'd be so excited at that, wouldn't
Yeah.
you? This is
Mhm.
like my Bob's waiting for her godmother's gift
Mhm.
in October. Yeah.
We find out that her godmother was a hand model, and
Yes.
she's basically signed Trixie up to a marriage bureau, which in those days, but also the marriage bureau is run by Miss Bathurst.
Yeah. But it's
Yeah.
because, well, say why, so she doesn't end up on the shelf. Imagine getting that at Christmas.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, I would just like jump into a lake at
Sister
that point.
Frances is
Oh.
just putting her foot in it left, right, and centre
This I did see the similarity with me.
because they try and what
Well,
word
they
am I looking
placate
for?
it. They're like, oh, Lucille's like, you're not on the shelf, you're just choosy. And then Sister Frances says, oh, men have been choosy.
But the first Bachelor, I thought was quite attractive.
I liked him too. I thought he was cute. I get her thing
I mean,
about
he was
no
the best
facial
of a
hair.
bad bunch. He's no trick. He's not Trixie. Do you know what I mean?
No, but
No, the
I
thing
don't think it deserved the grimace that he got.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, I get why she was like, "Oh, I prefer no facial hair," but like, I didn't think that was. To me, that wouldn't be like a disqualifying. So there's the first bearded guy, then there's a guy who shows up in a tuxedo that you've got the photo of that's really hilarious, where he's like got a cigarette. He looks hard. He's worse than the bearded guy, I think. Like he's just so cheesy.
I think they're out of order. Alex will rearrange them in order.
Then there's there's the blue suit guy who seems nice, but he insists on her having a drink.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Oh, forget this." So she's irritated at that. Then there's the next guy who's the blonde guy with the beard, which no, he's gonna be a no for me. Like it's the beard that's the same color as the skin that's just not. That's just not
we can't help that.
It's not. No, but I'm sorry. When you are that. Like when that's your coloring, no. Look, for me personally, okay, I'm not speaking for anybody else. I'm just saying not for me. Then I actually thought this guy was cute, the guy who spoke German only. And what was hilarious about that is that he's there with the dictionary. Now, he kind of did look a bit, I don't know. He was good looking. He kind of didn't look, I don't know, whatever. But the thing is, she's like miming. She's miming like babies. And he's just like, yeah, 1 second. I'm like, sir, this is a universal action for like babies. Like also like baby is the word baby in like so many languages. Like he couldn't have figured out
what does that mean? Is she a nanny? Is she a surrogate?
He probably thinks that she's on a date because she wants babies.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it could definitely
could be into baby Jesus. I don't know.
Yes. Then we've got the guy who sits down that is absolutely like 100 years old. It's terrible. I mean, he's so old.
He says, "I understand you're a private nurse," in a weirdly.
Oh, it's horrible.
Creepy, but clearly just looking for a carer type.
He's absolutely just looking for a carer.
Also, did either of you two know what petticoat tails were?
No. They're shortbread cookies, I guess, because that's what they said.
It's shortbread just in the triangles, but I would never call it petticoat tails. I had to look that up. It's just shortbread in the triangles.
Oh, I never would have known.
Do you know, I had shortbread that was like dusted in like this cinnamon sugar, and it was I don't even really like shortbread, and it was the luscious thing ever.
But that sounds really good though.
Butter and salt we had.
I had it at the Ritz.
Oh, check you out.
Shortbread with cinnamon sugar.
It's nice.
That'd be delicious.
Oh, maybe that's gonna be. I have to start putting together my roster of Christmas.
Bob's put some cinnamon in her nut flapjacks, and they were outstanding, guys.
Oh, maybe cinnamon sugar shortbread is going to be one of my cookies this year. But yeah, you could tell Trixie is like just so despondent by all of it, and understandable. I mean, like I will say, as a person who's been trying to get off the shelf for a long time, the dating market is really grim, and it was like kind of just funny and like lols and like heartening in a way to see like how grim it's just always been.
Yeah, 2024 is no different to 1964 and onwards.
No, it isn't. I will say this was interesting though to me, because so at this point in the series we have not met anybody. Like Trixie hasn't had a boyfriend in a minute, like Christopher was the last one, and we're not going to meet Matthew I think until later on in series 10.
But they're starting to set the scene for the private hospital where we will meet Matthew.
Well, that's the thing. So I think we're going to meet Matthew this series in series 10 and see like that whole journey or whatever. But they make not a big thing, but if you listen in the episode, they talk about the fact that she is looking for basically like a rich banking financier, like no beard guy, like no smoking guy, like all the things that they're describing that she's looking for, minus him having like a kid and being widowed or whatever, are very much what Matthew is. And so it kind of was it was interesting to me to hear like that, because really, what point am I trying to make here? Really, like it's like the man she's looking for is out there. And then at the end, when Sister Julianne meets with her, because she says, "Oh, I got a message that your gentleman caller, like your gentleman date or whatever it was in the hotel, the wrong hotel." And she's like, "Oh, I just am like afraid to think that maybe like the guy for me is always going to be in the wrong hotel, or I am." And I was like, oh, I really felt for that. So that's really all I want to say.
Well, just don't go on a date with the gym and do baby rocking. That's all I'm going to say on that.
I mean, the language barrier was like, you're not going to be able to get over that. Like, that's just too much.
So really, she was just a bit deflated by it all, and it was a bit rubbish. But
wait, rewind. Okay, so before she goes on all the dates, she's like looking through all the profiles, which like lol, because it was like Tinder or Hinge for, you know, like 1960s time, because it's all on paper. But she's going through and she's reading these descriptions of these guys, and so the girls are making comments and everything, but then Cyril is sitting there, which bless him, because you know he's like, he really goes in for it. But she says, "Well, Cyril, what do you think?" And he says, "Well, you're a really good looking woman, and you shouldn't have to settle for a man who's just looking for a nurse."
Oh yeah.
And I felt like Lucille kind of had a bit of a like,
Yeah, same.
like snitty moment when she was mad that he said she was good, Trixie was good looking. But I thought he was just being so nice.
He was. The thing is, though, I will say, someone's nice is someone else's not. Like, it just really depends on so many factors. Like, I don't know if I've said this before. I met my husband online, and
Yeah.
he sent me a message saying nice fringe, and I wrote, "Oh, thanks, I grew it myself." But like, imagine if he had no sense of humor, if I was weird about that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just would hit
Yeah.
different. Do you know what I mean? So all I'm
Yeah,
saying is,
yeah.
it
Mm.
just depends. Like, basically, Jen, what I'm trying to say is, everyone you've met so far is not good. You are. Right. The
But
tree in the Martyr's house is outstanding.
no, I need to
Yes.
shout out Sister Frances again
Oh, go
because
on.
when they're going through the profiles, she also says, "I hope he isn't fibbing."
Again, you know that one though, this could be Sister Fralix. Again, a very inappropriate comment that couldn't have come out of my mouth. Also, Sister Frances with the glitter, loving that. That brought back so many memories of
Yeah.
Christmases for me when I was little.
Oh, I
And
love
then
this.
And now,
so talking about the Christmas tree. Sister, they're decorating for Christmas.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sister Monica Joan is
Oh.
overseeing it all, and she's very insistent that the garland, it's not a garland, the paper chain above the fire hasn't been centered.
But she's
Yeah.
also moody before that because in chapel she's not singing or chanting. There's only four of them, and so she's only three of them actually singing. She's just not still.
Mm-hmm.
And she makes a big thing about, well, she doesn't make a big thing about it. They make a big thing about the fact that she's gone up the ladder to
Mm-hmm.
readjust this paper chain. Then she trips on the bloody stairs on her shoelace.
Yeah.
Did she go up the ladder? I didn't think I thought she was
Yeah, she
I thought
did.
She went up the
Oh.
ladder, fixed it, but then just stepped on her shoelace going up the stairs. I was like,
You could
we didn't
tell
need the ladder scene.
I was really drugged up at this point. I thought SMJ is a dickhead. I'd have left her there. Stop being a selfish dick is what I've written. So sorry, everyone.
Well, she often is at this intersection of like she's being really annoying and then she'll do something and then everyone feels like genuinely sympathetic and like sad and like
And we do need
caring
to
for
be more
her.
sympathetic to the fact that she does have Alzheimer's. Like we are like being. She
Like
has.
she's genuinely,
I
she
know.
was only walking up the stairs. If she'd have
Yeah.
fallen off the ladder, then I think that would be warranted. But she was only walking up the stairs. I thought Sister Julianne has got the weight of the world on her shoulders
Well,
because
she thought she was going to die. She was like, only God knows where he has begun or where it will end. Like she was just like,
Yeah.
that's it. She's out of this world.
Well, and she was so worried, but then cut to Sister Monica Joan. Now, granted, she did ultimately have a very like good reason for griping, but then she's like griping in the in the hospital and like throws a glass on the floor, which Sister
Oh.
Julianne then has to clean up. And Sister Julianne in her like most, where she was like, "You've been a nun for long enough. I think you would have learned some forbearance by now."
You know what? I
Can you
know my
please?"
note on that. I've written,
What?
I'd have cut a bloody throat with that. Sorry, everyone. That's me drugged up. Christ
No,
almighty.
but Sister Julianne was just like, "I've had enough of you." Like she was, you could tell she was just like, "Oh, I'm
Well,
so
Sister
over this."
Julianne
Like,
even then was like, what can I do to lighten your burden? Like,
you
oh,
two are giving Sister Julianne too much. I thought Sister Julianne was harsh this week. She had no sympathy. She says to Sister Monica Joan, she finds out that she's got a double fracture of her leg, and she says, "You won't be home for Christmas or any time soon thereafter."
I've put her
It
over
was
Yeah.
flat.
it was just harsh. Then Sister Julianne goes on a rant. I sympathise with this because she said, "I work too and it exhausts me." And I thought,
Yeah.
I feel you, Sister Julianne.
well,
Yeah.
didn't you just say about 20 minutes ago, "I'm the only one that's been to work today"?
I am the only one who's been to work today.
I mean, can I just say I'm today's SMJ with my leg up in hospital? Like, well, not in hospital, but in a bed with a cold compress right now.
Yeah.
Jen is today's Sister Frances. She's just been pootling about at home.
Have you been playing with glitter at all? Or saying any weird savvy things to someone going through the dating game?
No, but I've done other poodling. Yeah.
Good, you deserve it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Sister Hilda goes to visit her and stuff. She is miserable and she's having a really bad time. And we think it's
And
just
I
her
do
being a
feel
bit
bad.
petulant as well.
Yeah, and we all do feel bad for her ultimately.
Well, I didn't at the time, but obviously I was right on drugs. But also, like, I do realise that it was awful and it shouldn't happen. And I should, out of anyone, I should feel sympathy for her. I'd hate it to be in hospital for however many weeks. At least
I
I could come
know.
in. Yeah, like at least I could get out, which was amazing. So then Cyril and Lucille go and visit her, and Lucille was absolutely outstanding with the staff in the hospital.
Oh, I know. Well, first off, okay, I'm sorry. Set the scene. She walks in with a huge biscuit tin or a huge cake tin, which a number one right there. But then she's like, Sister Monica Joan, look who I brought. Now I'll tell you what, if I was like laid up in a hospital bed and Cyril was the gift I was being given, yes, please. I'm just being silly. But then Sister Monica Joan was like, no, leave. I know I'm not. But then Sister Monica Joan was like, no, leave, leave, leave. So he leaves. But then it's because she's had her catheter like all messed up and it's like all leaking everywhere and she feels so embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I did feel bad then. So
yeah. Oh, and it was awful. Yeah. And Lucille was like, this care is not good enough. She was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, she really
did. And then what did they manage to do?
They converted the downstairs storeroom into a bedroom
with the telly for Sister Monica. I mean, what a Christmas for her.
Oh my God,
I was like, she's living the dream. She's back. She's in Nonnatus house. She's in the bosom of the family. I know they're not a family, but it feels like it.
But they are.
It is a family.
But she's also got her own space. She's just sat watching TV.
And she gets the TV all to herself.
Yeah, love it.
I mean, she couldn't have been happier.
Love it.
Yeah, she couldn't have been happier.
I'll tell you what else I was loving. Nurse Crane and Miss Higgins.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we haven't even talked about this. Oh my God. The scene where they talk about Christmas and being together for Christmas with like everybody else. And then they both kind of realize like, well, what is it like to be single women at this stage in these holidays and everything was just one of my favoriteest.
Same.
And when they made their plan to have like their own indulgent Christmas dinner, that's exactly how they would want.
They weren't going to do it though. This was just like a fantasy for them. Like, oh, what would you do? What would you have? If you could have anything, what would you? Oh, well, I'd have baked beef on toast and a milk stout. And what would you have? And Miss Higgins was like, I'd just have an enormous bowl of trifle washed down with a Harvey Wallbanger. And I mean, that scene in itself was outstanding.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Then when Nurse Crane was like, I'm feeling emboldened after the circus, and she actually flaming did it, I've written, inject it into my veins. That scene was just pure bliss.
Yes.
Just
and
bliss.
You never see that kind of a scene or that kind of a relationship on TV or you never see it highlighted. And I loved it and I love it to death. And it honestly warmed my soul so much. And I just thought, thank goodness, like somebody's getting this right and putting it. I just was like loving it. I just was loving it. Oh my God.
Well, special shout out to Miss Higgins' poem and Nurse Crane indulging it and letting us say it as well.
Oh, it was so sweet. It was so sweet.
It
like
was
the love
pure,
they had
gorgeous
for each
friendship and support, and I loved it.
Oh my God.
Because those two understand it. They understood each other perfectly and understood and saw how exasperated it was and remedied that with their own special look. Chef's kiss.
Yeah, couldn't have been better. Couldn't have been better. Okay, anything else?
I like the way that Fred and Dr. Turner tricked Sheila by giving her a duff turkey to go to Nonnatus house.
Oh, was that a trick?
Yeah, I think he got an unprepared one. He was like, I've got an idea, and did an unprepared one.
Oh, see, I didn't put that together.
It did annoy me the way I get what Sheila was trying to do, have a quiet Christmas with them at home, but like that's not what they'd done any other year. So she changed tradition to make it feel more secure. It just seems stupid to me anyway.
It was stupid. Yeah, absolutely, it was stupid.
And also, Sister Julienne doing the survey and questionnaires in clinic.
Yes. I also loved when everyone was walking by Sister Monica Joan's room as they were coming in for the holiday. And they were all doing their like own little patented, like wave walk by thing for her. That was just so cute as well.
It really
I love that. Okay, should we do heroes? Yeah.
Yes, let's go for it. Who's going first?
My hero is going to be the Salvation Army band that was playing after Gloria Venables had Rachel Rose.
Oh!
Love it.
Because Christmas isn't Christmas without a Salvation Army band.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
My zero is going to be Valerie's exit.
Yeah.
Good one.
Jen?
Okay, my zero is going to be Dr. McKinty. That's right?
Mr. Henley.
Miss
Kenley.
Mr. Kenley.
Yeah, Mr. Kenley.
He sucks. 100%. My hero is gonna be two. Sorry, I have to do two. I know that's greedy. One is gonna be Sheila and Gloria. Yes. Just their whole relationship, their whole sweet interaction. I just thought it was so beautiful. And second one is Miss Higgins and Phyllis. I just loved it so much. They're just like my absolute heroes and I just love it and I love it so much. Okay, that's all.
Love it. I am gonna give my zero to, well, you've given it to Dr. Kenley, so I'm not Mr. Kenley, so I'm not going to give that to him. But let's give it for the massive explosion because that wasn't great. So that can be the zero. Yeah.
Yep.
And my hero was also going to be Nurse Higgins, and them having their own lovely time. But actually, it's going to be Gloria Venables because she is what a bloody hero to go through that. Like, I couldn't have gone through 8 pregnancies. Like, I just could not have. So, Gloria Venables, you are absolute hero. And it was just outstanding. My hero actually was Heidi Thomas this episode, because this episode in 2020 at Christmas was just what we bloody needed. It was absolutely gorgeous and outstanding and did a lot for my morale that year.
Minus Valerie's exit.
But again, if the actress wanted to leave, I know they could have done more, but they only had an hour and a half. Anyway, next week, hopefully I will be less drugged up. We will be doing a series recap, so thank you so much for listening. And like, subscribe, all of that. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.